My name is Elias Draycott, and I turned 38 the night everything changed. I was born into a family where old money dripped from every chandelier, where my last name opened doors I never asked to walk through. The Draycotts were all sharp smiles and closed-door deals, except me. I wasn't ruthless enough, loud enough, or broken enough in the right ways to be one of them. My sister Marcy got the charm, the spotlight, and eventually, the house. I got the role of the quiet one, the sensitive one. What they really meant was forgettable. But I've spent years watching them, remembering things they hoped I'd forget. The jokes that weren't jokes. The accidents that never felt accidental. And the cake she smashed into my face on my birthday? That was just the last straw. They thought it was funny. I made sure the punchline cost them $3.7 million. The sky was that soft golden blue Portland twilight, where shadows grow teeth. The backyard of Crescent Ridge Estate pulsed with violin music, laughter, and money. Crystal flutes. Marble accents. Too much white linen. I stood near the trellis wrapped in fake wisteria. Every Draycott party had a theme. This one was serenity and silk. Nothing about it felt serene. Then came the voice. Her voice. Everyone. Marcy's heels clicked across the flagstone. Designer blue dress. Wine in one hand. That smile in full performance mode. I want to take a moment to celebrate my big brother. I flinched. We locked eyes. She tilted her head, innocent. Too innocent. A waiter wheeled out the cake. 5 tiers. Gold trim. Ridiculous. Just like the house. She leaned into me, almost a whisper. Smile, Elias. Don't ruin the family aesthetic. Then the smash. Cream. Frosting. Cold. Then warm. Sharp. Metal? My skull cracked against the corner of the granite bar. The world tilted. Laughter. Loud. Then softer. Then far away. Blood mixed with vanilla buttercream. No one rushed over. That was a bit much, Marcy, someone murmured. She's just joking, another voice answered. Come on, Elias, lighten up. I tried to speak. The words stuck. My ears rang. She stood over me. Smirking. Tilting her wine glass, like a toast. Like she won. Again. It was a joke. To them, it's always a joke. I wiped my face in the guest bathroom. Marble, gold fixtures. I stared at the mirror. Cracks spidered through the reflection. Breathe. A whisper. Not mine. You okay? It was Caleb, her fiancé. Perfect teeth. No soul. You might want to laugh next time, he said. Or people start thinking you're unstable. I didn't answer. He shrugged, left. I sat on the tub's edge. My vision pulsed. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, 2:14 a.m. It wasn't an accident. Check the documents. Start with the house. I froze. My pulse climbed into my throat. Outside, I heard the party still going. Laughter. Glass breaking. Marcy's voice commanding attention. I checked the mirror again. There was frosting behind my ear. And blood. In the corner of the sink, someone had drawn a smiley face in lipstick. Not mine. I hadn't seen it before. I stood. My legs shook. My jaw clenched. They want to play games? I walked past the ballroom, past the laughter, past the memory of every time they made me feel like I didn't belong. If that was just a joke, then maybe it's my turn to be funny. The click of my car door shutting felt too loud. Portland rain pinged against the roof like it was trying to dig in. I sat in the dark, the glow of my tablet lighting my face like a ghost story. I was about to check something I shouldn't have access to, my father's estate records. I still had his credentials. No one had revoked them. No one thought I'd ever use them. I typed in the login. Fingers shaking. Eyes burning. Crescent Ridge Estate. Status, transferred. New trustees, Marceline Draycott and Caleb Stroud. Date of action, 3 days ago. My breath caught. The file loaded like slow death. Then I saw it. My name. My signature. I hadn't touched a pen. I scrolled faster. Legal validation confirmed. Witnesses listed. Notaries signed. The digital trail was clean. Too clean. No call. No notice. No email. They'd cut me out while I was still in the room. A voice echoed from an old memory. Sometimes, the knife you don't see is the one already buried. Cut to. I drove fast. Skidding past lights. Cold sweat climbing my spine. One name kept buzzing in my head, Maya Tran. She was my father's estate manager for 20 years. Loyal, sharp, never liked Marcy. She'd know. Maya's office was in a downtown building that looked like it used to be a bank and still smelled like liability. Her door was ajar. I walked in. She didn't look surprised to see me. Elias, she said, standing slowly, cautious. I was wondering when you'd show up. My throat was dry. Did you know? She sighed. You want the legal answer or the human one? Try truth. She walked to her desk, pulled out a thick folder. Slid it across. The header, Draycott Estate, Emergency Transfer Filing. She opened to the third page. There it was again. My signature. You didn't sign this, she asked. I shook my head. That's not mine. That's not even close. Then we have a serious problem. The office shrank. The light above us flickered. Outside, someone walked past the frosted glass, too slow. I stepped sideways, checking the hallway. Empty. Maya lowered her voice. They filed this under Clause 17B. It allows emergency reassignment of trust holdings if the primary heir is deemed medically unfit or mentally unstable. My stomach twisted. They used that clause? She nodded. The only proof required is a pattern of behavior. Emotional instability. Public disruption. Rumors. Medical records. Marcy's voice from the party echoed in my skull. Smile, Elias. Don't ruin the family aesthetic. I looked down at the document again. Who validated this? Judge Ainsley Morton. Retired 6 months ago, now consults privately. Works mostly with the elite. And quiet clients. Cut scene. I stood outside Maya's office. Rain heavy now. My hands clenched around the folder. I texted the unknown number back. You knew. How long? No reply. I walked back toward my car. A black SUV rolled past. Slowed. Tinted windows. No plates. It kept going. Then my phone pinged. Unknown. Look under your father's claws. Not all of it was erased. Just buried. My fingers froze. Cut to. Back inside my apartment. Lights off. Blinds drawn. I powered up my old hard drive. Dad had scanned every estate doc into a cloud archive. Password protected, encrypted, but I still remembered. He used to say, never trust paper. It burns too easily. But digital leaves footprints. I typed the old pass, blood/line 67. Access granted. I opened the Crescent Ridge folder. Scroll. Scroll. Then I found it. A document flagged amendment, not filed. Clause 17C. If the estate is to be contested under fraudulent conditions, and the named successor has been manipulated or removed by coercion, Elias Draycott holds sole override authority as final executor. My hands went still. The file was dated 5 years ago. Handwritten addendum. Not notarized. It wouldn't hold in court, yet. But it proved one thing. Dad never trusted them either. I printed the page. The ink stuttered like a dying breath. A floorboard creaked behind me. I spun. No one there. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. You're not paranoid. You're late. They didn't just take the house. They erased me. The archive room smelled like wet cardboard and old ink. Rows of rusted filing cabinets stretched into the dark like teeth. I pushed the door closed behind me and locked it. One flickering fluorescent buzzed above my head. Shadows crawled. I didn't turn the light on. I used the flashlight from my phone. Click. Whir. My breath visible in the cold air. Draycott and Company still stored everything here, the backups, the hidden files, the shit no one wanted found. No cloud. No search bar. Just dust, metal, and time. Section D, drawer 17C. I pulled. It stuck. I yanked again. It groaned open. Inside, manila folders. Hundreds. No labels. Just numbers. Old school. I dug. My fingers froze on one folder, cracked leather tab, the old estate seal. Crescent Ridge, original deed plus addendum, unfiled. My heartbeat slammed. I opened it. Top sheet, an amendment, handwritten, dated 5 years ago. My father's handwriting, firm, rushed. If Elias is removed by coercion, falsification, or manipulation, he has sole override authority over Crescent Ridge. This clause supersedes any emergency reassignment. I backed against the cabinet. They knew. They knew I had power. So they buried it. I took photos. Every page. Every signature. Behind me, something creaked. I spun. Light from the hallway slid under the door. Footsteps. Not rushed. Measured. One step. Pause. Step again. My phone buzzed. No ID. You have 30 seconds. I grabbed the folder. Turned the corner. Another creak. Cut scene. I ducked into a side corridor. The building layout etched into my brain from childhood visits. I shoved through a service door, stairwell. Echoes spiraled downward. A voice called from above. Leave it, Elias. You're in over your head. I didn't look back. I bolted into the street, chest heaving. Rain smeared the windshield of my car like melted glass. Phone again. Same number. One text. You're one signature away from disappearing. Back home. Lights off. Curtains drawn. The air smelled like burnt plastic. I checked every window latch. Locked. I spread the photos across my desk. Built the puzzle. Dad had known. Marcy had moved fast. Caleb was more than an accessory. Someone knocked. 3 slow raps. I froze. Looked through the peephole. Nothing. I opened it. Envelope on the ground. No stamp. No name. Inside, a USB drive. And a note, typewritten. Watch. Then decide who you're really fighting. I plugged it in. The video opened on black. Audio first. Marcy's voice, he's fragile. It'll look like an accident. Then, grainy footage. Surveillance cam. Parking garage. Date stamp 3 years ago. I was walking toward my car. Slipped. Fell. Hit my head. I remembered the ER visit. The fainting episode. But now, frame by frame, I saw Caleb. 2 cars behind. Watching. Phone to his ear. He didn't move to help. He smiled. Another clip. This one recent. Marcy. Dorian Hale. In a cafe. Her voice, louder now. We'll sign it. If he finds anything, we burn it. No trail, no legacy. He was never supposed to inherit it anyway. Dorian sipped his espresso like it was nothing. My chest cracked open. Ice spread. Someone had always been watching. The joke was never just a joke. My reflection in the screen looked older. Colder. Phone buzzed again. New number. No message. Just one video file. I clicked play. Security footage. Inside my apartment. Dated yesterday. Someone had been in my home. They didn't steal anything. They were checking if the folder was here. I dropped the phone. My chest tightened. Vision narrowed. There's no such thing as paranoia when they actually want you gone. They planned this long before the joke. Sunday evening. 6:59 p.m. The chandelier above the dining table trembled with the bass of muffled footsteps. The long mahogany surface was polished like a mirror. 12 place settings. Only 7 filled. Marcy's running late, Serafina said. She stirred her tea like it held a secret. You know how she gets. I said nothing. Caleb adjusted his cufflinks. He hadn't looked me in the eye once. I'm not here for dinner, I said. The room fell silent. I'm here to talk about the house. Serafina smiled, thin as a blade. You're not going to cause a scene, are you, Elias? You've always had dramatic timing. It's funny, I said, leaning forward. You all say I'm the sensitive one, but you've built an entire empire on pretending nothing ever hurts. A slow clap echoed from the foyer. Marcy. Gold dress. Silver heels. And a smirk that could split marble. Well, look who grew teeth, she said. She floated into the room, kissed Serafina's cheek, touched Caleb's shoulder. I stood. I know about the override clause, I said. The original addendum Dad signed. The one that never got filed. The one you buried. Marcy's face twitched. Serafina didn't blink. I kept going. You forged my signature. You used 17B to claim I was unstable. You built a legal narrative while I was bleeding from the head. Marcy laughed. It was a joke, Elias. A cake. Not a felony. Don't do that, I said. Don't shrink it down so it fits in your palm. Serafina stood. Her voice calm, surgical. If you believe there's been misconduct, Elias, you are welcome to file a challenge. I already did. Cut scene. Maya stepped into the room. She wore all black. Like someone testifying. She handed me a manila folder. Certified affidavit, she said. Filed with the circuit court this morning. Request to halt all property transactions on Crescent Ridge until further review. Marcy's jaw clenched. You've been working with him? Maya shrugged. Your father trusted me. I don't break with the dead. Serafina's voice dropped. You think this will end well for you, Elias? No, I said. But it won't end quietly. Cut to. Living room. I plugged in a USB. The flat screen lit up. First video, security footage. Caleb in the parking garage. Watching me fall. Not helping. Second video, Marcy and Dorian in the cafe. talking about erasing me. Final frame, Serafina's signature on a withdrawal order from the estate account, dated 2 days before Dad died. Marcy launched from her seat. Where did you get that? Doesn't matter. Caleb finally spoke. It's circumstantial. No, Maya said. It's admissible. The front door opened. 2 sharp knocks. Detective Fiona Rivers stepped in. Badge visible. We're following up on a report filed under Oregon Statute 162.365, tampering with public records. We have a warrant to seize all relevant documents and digital devices connected to the Draycott estate. Caleb swore under his breath. Serafina stayed frozen. Your move, Mother, I said. She looked at me then, really looked. Not as the boy in her house, but the man in her way. I protected this family, she whispered. By erasing it, I said. Marcy slammed a glass against the wall. You don't deserve that house. No, I said, picking up the folder, I deserve the truth. Marcy moved fast. Grabbed the USB from the screen port. Tried to crush it in her palm. Detective Rivers grabbed her wrist mid-motion. You're obstructing an investigation, the detective said. That's a separate charge. The room split in half. Light. Shadow. Power. Collapse. You weren't betrayed by your sister, Elias. You were betrayed by your entire bloodline. I didn't sleep. Not really. Not after the videos. Not after the break-in. Not after I watched security footage of someone in my own apartment, someone who had every advantage but chose to invade my sanctuary anyway. Morning came too fast. I moved like a ghost. Black hoodie. Keys. Wallet. USB drive in my pocket. I left my apartment without saying where I was going. Rain still clung to the streets. Portland daylight gray and unforgiving. Each passing car felt like eyes on me. I drove to the old law building, Draycott and Company's archive entrance. Maya had given me a keycard. One swipe. No alarms. But that was before now. I expected trouble. Didn't know how much. The stairwell smelled like bleach and regret. My footsteps echoed. I heard a slow drip of water. Or audio fading in. At the basement door, I swiped the card. Nothing. I swiped again. Again. Click. The lock gave way. Inside it was darker than I expected. File cabinets. Boxes. Paper relics. Old scanners. Everything fragile. I walked toward the cabinet labeled 17C. It was where I'd found Dad's buried claws. Then the metal grated. Slow. Behind me. I turned. A silhouette stepped out. Not a cop. Not Maya. Caleb. Wet coat. Cold eyes. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. I backed up slowly. Rain droplets followed me from outside. On my jacket. On the floor. You should have left it buried, Caleb said. His voice clipped, soft, but lethal. I took a step back. The cabinet. I reached for the file. He lunged. Cut scene. The world slowed. A fist. My head snapped back. I hit the cabinet. Dizzy. Breath shallow. Then pain. Sharp. I staggered, clutching the folder. Caleb's boot at my ankle. He twisted. Like he was breaking more than bone. Dad trusted you, he said, pressing down. But you trusted the wrong people. I gasped. A blur of fluorescent light flickered above us. I remembered something Dad once said. The truth isn't buried. It's just someone's job to hide it. I kicked. Hard. He stumbled. I scrambled upright. Pulled the files close. Caleb's face twisted with rage. Then alarm sirens. Not police. Something worse. The emergency exit door burst open. Maya. Phone in hand. Panting. 911 called it in, she said. Someone used the emergency keycard system, filed a tamper alert. Caleb looked between us. Then he ran. I didn't know if I should chase him or stay. Maya grabbed my arm. Listen, she said, voice tight, the cameras here looped files. But something didn't sync. They tagged timestamps. He was here before you, when you weren't even scheduled. I didn't wait. I ran after Caleb. Outside the building. Rain had turned to drizzle. Caleb sprinted across the lot, toward the alley behind the sanitation containers. He didn't see the crate. I did. He tripped. Face first. I stood above him. Breath steam and cold air. I held up the USB. This changes everything, I said. He laughed. A dry, cracked sound. You think that piece of data saves you? I didn't answer. I stepped closer. Sirens now in the distance, real this time. Caleb stared at me like he expected mercy. I remembered something else. Never let your fear decide your fate. I turned. Dropped the USB on the wet asphalt. You want to play this game? I said. Sirens nearing. Caleb froze. Hands in the air. No fight left. A patrol car pulled up. Lights flashing. Caleb looked back at me. You have no idea what you're really up against, he said. I didn't flinch. Detective Rivers stepped out of the car. Badge gleaming. Caleb Stroud, she said. You're under arrest for obstruction, fraud, and conspiracy. He sputtered. I watched. Hands cuffed behind his back. No struggle. No sound. Just rain and lights. I took a breath. Deep. Cold. Heavy. My heart racing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. One text. Truth isn't what you find. It's what you survive. I looked up. Sky gray. Storm passing. I knew it wasn't over. But for the first time, I wasn't running. And I wasn't alone. The courtroom was cold. Too sterile. Like a hospital for lies. Photographers lined the back. Click flash click. Like a stuttered heartbeat. Reporters leaned in, pens scribbling. The air tasted like anticipation and fear. I stood before the judge. Papers in hand. The file. The videos. The affidavit. The amendments. 3 years of hell boiled down to a single stack of evidence. Detective Rivers stood to my left. Silent. Solid. Caleb in cuffs. Eyes down. Defeated. Marcy red-faced, silent. Serafina pale as bone. The judge cleared his throat. We have reviewed all submitted material, including the amendment denied filing, the forged signatures, the surveillance evidence. My breath went short. And the testimony regarding coercion and conspiracy. Mr. Draycott, based on Oregon's estate and trust law, the original will and amendment, though unfiled, demonstrate your father's intent. The emergency reassignment under Clause 17B is hereby declared null and void. Gasps from the gallery. My heart throbbed. My chest felt too small. The judge didn't stop. You are restored as sole legal owner of Crescent Ridge Estate. Further, we will proceed with charges against Marceline Draycott and Caleb Stroud for fraud, obstruction, and coercion. A beat. Then, my old name called out. A voice trembling. It was Serafina. My son. She stood. Thin voice. I thought I was protecting this family. The room exhaled. I looked at her. No rage. Just truth. Protection without truth? I said. That's prison with a prettier facade. She nodded once. Eyes closed. Time felt thick. Outside, storm clouds gathered. 3 drops of rain tapped against the courthouse window like nervous fingers. A reporter asked my name, my age, my reaction. I walked outside instead. The drizzle turned to steady rain. But I didn't care. Flashback, like lightning. The truth isn't buried. It's just someone's job to hide it. Dad's words again. They weren't poetry. They were a warning. The estate was mine again, legally. But the house had become a monument of betrayal. Its heavy oak doors echoed with secrets. I could keep it. Or I could let the world have it. I chose to sell. Not out of spite. Out of freedom. I walked into my lawyer's office. Signed the papers. Crane and Harper Realty listed Crescent Ridge Estate at fair market. $3.7 million. Irony wasn't lost on me. The mansion that cost me nearly everything would now become the seat of something else, whatever wasn't corrupted by the blood ties that once stained its halls. I watched from afar as the open house signs went up. I almost heard Dad whisper. Sometimes you don't take back what was stolen. You build something better. I put the check in my jacket. Cold metal against my chest. Not a trophy. A beginning. Months passed. Crescent Ridge sold to strangers. New family. New laughter. New life. Not mine. But freeing. Then came the real twist. One last message, unknown number, same pattern. The truth doesn't end when justice is served. It begins where forgiveness lives. I stared at the screen. I wasn't sure who sent it. I wasn't sure I cared. Because this time, I held my ending. I stood on a plateau outside Portland. Wind whipping. Sky wide. I thought of Marcy. Caleb. Serafina. Of every dismissive smile. Of every time I was told I was too sensitive, too dramatic, too weak. I found strength in the cracks. In the silence between heartbeat and breath. I opened my mouth and said out loud, to the sky. I'm more than your punchline. And then I walked forward. Not away from pain. Through it. Because sometimes the joke lands hardest on the jokester. And sometimes the funniest twist isn't revenge. It's survival.